Hi. Doing things a little differently today. Usually I'm in front of a green screen with proper lighting and a wired mic, and instead today I just turned on the office light and I'm holding the USB mic in my hand. I'd like to talk about YouTube trends and why I don't follow them on this channel, but in the broader sense, why I think they're bad for YouTube channels to try and follow. It's not just because it's like chasing the wind, a pointless, futile task, but also because it just adds to the glop, the homogeneous glop of information that all ends up looking and sounding and tasting the same. Not that you can taste a YouTube video, but if you could. Now, I don't know what your favorite YouTube topic is. If you watch science videos or history videos or sports videos or entertainment or music or whatever, but whatever it is, you will have noticed there are trends that happen. Every month or every couple of weeks, a lot of channels that cover the same types of subject matter will cover the same topic over and over again. Now, my wheelhouse is movies, and I have absolutely noticed this. In the last few months, just for example, if you go on to YouTube channels that cover movies, you will have noticed dozens, hundreds, maybe over 1,000 different channels that are covering why do movies look so bad now? Movies don't look as good as they used to. Why are movies so ugly now? I mean, I have lost track of how many YouTube movie channels have covered that topic. I've not covered it here, and I'm not going to cover it here. Because, one, it's a trend. For whatever reason, I don't know how it became a trend, but it became a trend in the last few months, and everybody who does a movie channel just started covering that topic for some reason. Another reason I don't chase these trends is because when I watch the videos, my opinions are so diametrically opposed that I'm sure if I did cover them, I would essentially get an audience of people thinking, what the hell are you talking about? Let me explain. I have spent my entire life watching movies, writing about movies, interviewing people about movies, interviewing filmmakers, writing up those interviews. I've been a professional writer about film, a professional critic and film historian for almost 20 years now. I have dedicated a lot of my time and a lot of my life to the movies. And so when I watch these videos, let's just take that current trend of, why don't they look good? Why are they so ugly now? And I watch them, they all say the same thing. They're all talking about the different style of lighting, the different lensing, the coloring of the movies now. They're talking about the fluidity of the camera and how, because the camera's not locked down anymore, it can move in and out of the action instead of just, the crew and the lights and the camera on one side and the actors on the other and so on. And they all basically say the same thing. And it all has to do with technology. It all has to do with technological developments in film that have changed the way it looks. And the problem I have is that I've studied film my whole life, and when I say I've studied film, I don't just mean the last 30 years. I mean, I've studied it from the 1890s to now. I studied all of it. So when I start watching one of these videos and they say, let's go back now and look at movies before they looked bad, I think, great, here we go. They're going to bring up Anthony Mann's Raw Deal from 1948. Let's do it. Let's talk about how great that movie looks. And no, they're talking about some movie from 2002. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. There are good-looking movies from every single year, this present year included. There are always going to be good-looking movies, and there are going to be bad-looking movies. I get that. But my point is, to me, actually, movies stopped looking as good as they used to in like the 1980s. And not because of the technology, but because of the directors. See, the reason I would bring up something like Raw Deal if I was trying to make my point is because Anthony Mann was concerned with the composition of the shot. He was concerned with where the actors were, where the lighting was going, where were the shadows produced by the lights, what was the artistic design of the sets and the props. The great directors from the past were concerned with all of these things. Mise en scène is the pretentious French term you might hear film historians use from time to time, basically talking about the composition of the shot, how the scene is composed. And that has nothing to do with technology. You could use all of the technological advances you have today and still compose an absolutely gorgeous shot. The problem for me isn't technology. The problem is that we just don't have as many directors anymore who have as much of a sense of photographic composition when they're putting together their shots. And that leads us to the directors of photography, the cinematographers, who also need to have that sense. And they may have more of that sense than the director in a lot of cases. But I have found, in my dealings with people in the present day filmmaking world, that directors of photography, cinematographers these days, are far more technologically inclined to go with the latest tech and really show off the gimmickry and wizardry that they can do with those cameras, instead of, again, properly composing a shot like perhaps Greg Toland and Orson Welles would have done working together, or Stanley Cortez and Orson Welles on The Magnificent Ambersons. That's what I think is different. And so I watch all of these videos talking about why don't movies look good anymore, and none of them mention that. None of them talk about the people involved and how they're the difference, not the technology. It's the people involved who are the difference. There were simply, in my opinion, a lot more directors in older Hollywood who were far more concerned with how the shots looked. And when you go outside of Hollywood, it seems especially true. Directors like Kurosawa, directors like Ozu, directors like Fellini, directors like Bergman, they were absolutely obsessed with the way a shot was composed, the way it looked. They weren't thinking about the technology. They were thinking about where the actors were, how they were juxtapositioned. That's what they were thinking about. And I just don't think you get a lot of that today. So, I'm getting off track here, but that's one of the reasons a lot of these trends bug me. It's because they all say the same thing without giving a different opinion. And what you eventually get is just a big bathtub full of videos all essentially parroting each other. Another reason I don't really care for following trends is that I am here as someone who has worked in the business of film history and film criticism for decades now, and I just want to talk about movies, whereas a lot of movie channels are very dryly academic. For one thing, they're almost all faceless. We're just hearing someone narrating while we're watching very glossy, very perfectly polished and remastered clips from classic movies to modern movies blaze across our phone screen while we're watching the video and we hear the person talk. And that's fine. I get that. It's great to talk about why this movie makes such great use of color or something. I just find it all really academic and dry. You know, it's like, here, watch all these movie clips I'm going to throw in front of you for the 10 minutes while you hear me narrate this perfectly written script on how this thing happens. That's mainly it. Just a short one today. I just really want to break free. I just really want YouTube channels of all varieties to break free from trend chasing. God, it is just out of control. If you enjoyed this little rant, then fine, thanks. Give it a like and subscribe. I can't imagine there's going to be many of you that will, but thank you in advance. And by the way, just quickly, album of the film stars. These are the cigarette covers from the 1930s, where you would have pictures of the stars on cigarette packages, and then you would paste them into this, and it would tell you about the star. It's fascinating because this is completely full. Obviously, I didn't do it. I mean, somebody who's like probably long dead did it. I got it at a specialty shop. But it's fascinating because so many of those stars are just forgotten now. This is from the Grand Hotel. There's a very short clip in the Grand Hotel. It's a dissolve where it shows this invitation. Grand Hotel, 5 o'clock tea, dancing, American bar, jazz band, Yellow Room. I basically freeze framed that, screen grabbed it, and printed this out. That's that there. This is kind of cool. This is Mexican film posters that are all a part of this painting instructional booklet. It's very strange. They're all on pallets, as you can see. This is an actual reel of an actual film. It was United Artists, I believe. It's kind of heavy. It is United Artists, yes. United Artists Corporation. The title is around the other side there. I'm not going to say the name of it because I did not come about it through entirely above board means. The Detective in Film by William K. Everson. I really need to do a thing on him. He is fantastic. He's one of the greatest, if not the greatest, film historian that ever lived. He did practically everything from memory because he was an historian at a time when you couldn't just, go to streaming or put in a Blu-ray and just watch any movie. He would be like, he would be talking about a movie he saw only once at the theater, like 25 years before, and he'd discuss it in detail based on memory. The movie's classics of the silent screen. Sergei Eisenstein, Film Sense and Film Form. Kind of dry, quite honestly. But I mean, if you're a film historian, you're going to have it. This is only a really small part of my collection. I've got hundreds and hundreds of film books and things. This is kind of cool. This is from the AFI Silver. My wife and I went there to see Strangers on a Train with Farley Granger in attendance, and then he answered questions afterwards, and it was just months before he died. So we were so lucky to be able to get there and see him and talk to him afterwards. My wife had him asked him to autograph that, which he did, to Laura from Farley Granger. We talked with him personally a little bit afterwards because I was, with Turner Classic Movies, so we get to have a little audience with Farley afterwards. I cherish the fact that we got to meet him before he died. And that's the ticket right there. Hedy Lamarr, filler paper, notebook filler paper. How about that? There's so much cool. This is my the Blackmagic camera I use for making my short films. Right there. Lots of good stuff here. Ooh, they're down here. I have more. I have so many actual movies. This one is Art Is, which is a short film. God, when was this made? This film's down there. Oh, man. Oh, I've got a lot of stuff here. Janus Films, Suite 400. It's a short film about art museums. If you're a film enthusiast or film buff and you don't have a wide and eclectic collection of film memorabilia, then you're doing something wrong. All film people should have a bizarre assortment of movie stuff. Okay, not just like posters from your favorite movies, but you should be tracking it down. I love going to a fellow film buff's office or room or living room or den or whatever, and you're like, oh my God, what the hell is this? And it's like, name drop. So when I've been to John Waters' house a few times, I've worked with him on non-film projects. And his house is just, it's filled with stuff. He's got, on his mantle, he's got a reproduction prop of the Tingler, from the William Castle movie. It's fantastic. Anyway, he's got all kind of stuff like that, because that's what film people, and by the way, he is a terrific film person. He knows movies like you wouldn't believe. He is, I've told him he could be he's an honorary film historian. Yeah, that's about it. I've got so much more on so many other sides of this room and in the hallway out there, and I might go over that some more some other time. Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. Thanks.